Let's understand math functions in SQL. First up, let's use the select statement and imagine we wanted to round a number. In order to do so, we can use the round keyword followed by opening and closing brackets. And instead of those brackets, we can now define what kind of number we wanted to round. So in our case, let's say we want to round 4.4. And now we're going to execute the code. And as you can see, we're getting the output 4. If we're going to go to 4.5, for example, and run the queue again, we're getting 5. So once it gets to .5, it's going to round up, otherwise it's going to round down. If we wanted to always round up, we could also use ceil, for example, which will always round to the next higher number, so in our case 5. And if we wanted to use the next lower number, we can use floor, for example. So let's execute that one. If we wanted to raise one number to the power of another number, we can use power, for example. Now we can use two values, for example. So let's say we want to raise 2 to the power of 4. So essentially, this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we should essentially get 2, 4, 8, 16. So let's run that statement and see if that works. And as you can see, we're getting 16 right here. We can also get the square root, so sqrt of 16, for example, which should be 4. So let's execute that one. And as you can see, we're getting 4. We can also get the absolute value of a certain number. So let's get the absolute value of -4, for example. We are again getting 4. Let's take a look at -5. We're getting 5. So by using absolute, we always get the value of a number without getting the sign. There also exists the modulo operator. So we can say mod. And now let's say, for example, we are going to define 10 and 4 right here. This essentially means that we're going to divide 10 by 4. And mod will say that we want to get the rest of this division. So you can divide 10 2 times by 4, but you will have a rest of 2. So right here, we should now see 2, for example. And as you can see, we're seeing 2. If you would use 3 right here, for example, then we should have 10 divided by 3, which is 3 rest 1. And as you can see, we're getting 1. So we're getting the rest. Now we can also say that we wanted to generate a random number by saying rand, opening and closing brackets. Let's execute. And as you can see, we're getting 0.87, 0.21, 0.46. So we are generating a random number every time we execute this query. We could also say that we want to get the sign, for example, of a number. So let's say we want to get the sign of -5, for example, which should obviously be a minus. So we're getting a minus. If I'm going to say 5, we're getting +1. So this one outputs a -1 if it is negative and a +1 if it is positive.